Oh, and this is how we get down. The content just throws and flows throughout the day. If you miss any of our coaching company this morning, I encourage you to catch us on demand on our brand new Coach and Company YouTube page. Also, we have a second show there, Weekday Wagers. It is live every single day at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we have just launched this YouTube page, but we've got so many watch hours. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, I would encourage you to do so because then we'll be able to really separate our BTT shows and our Coach and Company shows. Now, speaking of BTT, later today we have a special start time of the Coach and Bro show, and you all have made the show such a success. We're moving it to 5:30 p.m. Eastern time today because I have a new Sirius XM radio show on the brand new Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7 channel 156 from 2 to 4 Eastern every single weekday. So we've had to move a few of the shows around. Easiest thing to do, turn on your notifications. And every time we start any content like this show, you will be notified. If you just like audio, you can do that through our partnership with Believe as well. We never go more than 20 or 30 minutes because we just like to chop it up a little bit deeper and not just from a betting perspective. So, the one thing that the great Colin Cowherd taught me years ago when we were at ESPN together was always play the hits, meaning that the masses, because so many in media want to play to the 1% or less than 1% on social media. The masses, and there's a reason that LeBron James has 100 million followers, that The Rock has 200 million followers. The masses are interested in what the great ones do. Well, LeBron James, from a statistical standpoint, is the greatest of all time. I personally believe that Michael Jordan was a better overall player, but that's always going to be a discussion. But right now, LeBron James, at over 40 years of age, still has stroke in the NBA, and it's causing a little bit of a, how should I say it? Maybe a little discord, and not everybody is on board with what is going on. What am I talking about? Well, LeBron James, for the first time in his career, used a player option and opted in. On Monday's edition of the Coach and Company podcast, I was very, very critical about LeBron James and what has come out of his mouth, but the actions that have not followed through with it. What do I mean by that? Well, when you tell me all you care about is winning, when you tell me that I want to make history and play with my son, well, what should have been added to that is also play with a winner. And I want to play with a championship team. I'm a 4-time NBA champion, but it's all about my legacy. It's not about every last dollar you can make in the league. Now, if it was somebody else that didn't have a billion-dollar brand, if it was somebody else that didn't have a lifetime contract with Nike, if it was somebody else, I would say take every last dime. But LeBron James is already a billionaire. LeBron James is a notorious cheapskate. So it shouldn't surprise us that he took the 53 million, but now his agent Rich Paul has added a little fuel to said fire. Basically, paraphrasing here, Rich Paul has said, despite the fact that LeBron James has opted in for $53 million a year, 52.6 to be exact, that they're going to be keeping an eye on the movement and movements and player changes that the Lakers do in the next couple of months to basically see if LeBron James wants to finish his career as a Laker. The same team that just sold for over $10 billion. I refuse anymore in my career or in my life to lean into the lazy narrative that every player takes every dollar. Coach, you're an idiot. Maybe in the NFL, but not the NBA for a player who's been playing since he was 18 years old. And did I mention he's already a billionaire? To me, at some point in your life, and when I started kind of changing the way that I thought, because every single one of us wants to make a great living. That needs to be said. Most of us are 9-to-5ers. I've been very lucky to have a career outside of the 9-to-5 world. And hopefully that continues for the rest of my life, which I still believe 25 or 30 years left of working, not of living. But if you're LeBron James and you want to win and your agent says this, now you're basically holding the Lakers' feet to the fire. And you're saying, I need to see the moves that you're going to make, or I'm going to demand a trade. Demand a trade. I could see LeBron James doing that. Because think about his track record. And for the record, LeBron James is in my top 3 favorite athletes of all time. So it does not come out of my mouth lightly, because I love LeBron. I love how much he loves the game. He's always in shape. He's always ready to go. He hasn't missed a ton of games in his career. And the numbers reflect that. However, we have seen many, many, many times before where he loves the attention. Remember when he left Cleveland to go to Miami? Did he just announce it? No. He had a big production that aired live on ESPN from the Boys and Girls Club, I believe in White Plains, New York. Didn't even do it in Cleveland or Miami. He did it in New York. And they raised $3 million for the Boys and Girls Club, and he got all of that attention. You remember when he left Miami after the Big Three and won his first NBA title of the titles? And he went back to Cleveland. It was late night. He announced it. It was amazing theater. It truly was. Attention. Do you remember when LeBron James decided to become a Laker? The most revered franchise in all of the NBA, certainly on the West Coast. Boston Celtics fans, they would argue that. But certainly one of the 2 OGs. Attention. And now, last year, he talks the Lakers into giving his son the biggest contract that a player drafted at that spot had ever received. Bronny James. Nearly, I think it's like 4 years, $7.8 million, something like that. And speaking of Bronny James, he was asked on Wednesday, when he was getting in the workouts at the Lakers facility, because who knows where he's going to land next year. We haven't heard or talked about Bronny James since 3 or 4 months ago. He was asked about his dad. He was asked about the attention. He said, I don't pay attention to it. Basically, I am focused on myself, which he should be. He should be focused on his junior year at USC. That's what he should be focused on. Can you imagine how good USC would be right now if they still had Bronny James? Can you imagine if he would have gotten some really good advice from somebody who knew the NBA game? But how could that happen? Can you imagine if somebody close to him who played 2 decades in the league and knows what it takes to play at a high level would give him great advice? He didn't get that. It was about, I want to play with my son. Period. End of story. Which is why I will stand on the business. I will stand on the ledge that if you want to play with your son, make it a winner. Don't just make it about being on the court at the same time, which happened, once, maybe twice? And now LeBron James is going to hold the Lakers hostage. That's what he's doing. I live 50 miles from the arena. That's what's going to happen. So the Lakers have today announced kind of their first signing. They need a big man in the middle. They need somebody who can run the pick and roll with Luka. DeAndre Ayton, Mr. Former number 1, first-round pick from Arizona, who every stop, he's had some flashes, and then he just falls off a cliff. Whether it's injury, whether it's motivation, he just got a buyout from the Portland Trail Blazers, and now he is a Laker. Is that enough? Your son, will he be good enough to make the Lakers? Is that enough? Austin Reeves, been seeing rumors that he could be part of a trade if they're trying to bring guys in. Would that be enough? And then, of course, you have Luka. Luka is the outlier. Luka is the player that was lined up to make a Supermax deal in Dallas. And instead, because he got traded, Supermax is off the table. Would that piss you off? It certainly would me, especially if I had just bought a $15 million home in Dallas. You don't think they could have tipped him off just a little bit? So I think he's still going to live in Dallas in the offseason, but play in LA. There's a lot of drama going on. There's a lot of things that are up in the air. But it all comes back to who? LeBron James. It all comes back to LeBron James. He is polarizing. He is a megawatt star. And wherever he goes, the attention goes. But let's not forget, at the end of last season, he started to show his age. He started to not get up and down. And if that's the case, and he's over 40 years of age, at some point, we need to stop listening to his agent, Rich Paul, and trying to dictate what everything goes down or happens around him. We have to stop that. Now, other NBA news, in addition to LeBron, there is rumors out there, and I usually just go to Shams and ESPN, but there's some other good NBA insiders, sports insiders out there, that they're trying to expand, because remember, none of these deals can be consummated, can be signed until July 6th. So we still have 3 days for players to back out, teams to back out. And there are rumors that they could expand this Kevin Durant trade to include up to 7 teams. Why? I'm not quite sure. There are some really smart people that really understand the salary cap, that really understand moving players around, moving draft picks around. And Kevin Durant is much like LeBron James, 37 years old. There was a time that if you were north of 32, your career was basically over. Now you got some of these guys, because they stay in such great shape, they can play at a high level for a much longer period of time. But how long are we going to consider them the linchpin, the centerpiece, the stud, the guy that we go to when we need a bucket? At some point, they fall off a cliff. Is next year that cliff for LeBron? He says that the knee injury that he suffered at the end of the season, his number one priority is to make sure that is healthy. Healthy. So we'll see. Now, there are other stories going on, but on the other side, WNBA. Because right now you've got the NFL, where most of the players, they got done with OTAs. They take 3 or 4 weeks off, and then they really come in. And this is where an NFL player has to be a pro. Because when you're in college, they have a strength and conditioning coach that tells you 12 months a year exactly what you're lifting, what you're eating, you know where you're staying, all of that. When you become a pro, when you're in the NFL, you have to hire guys to do that. You have to go to places where for 3 or 4 months, you're just getting your ass in shape. There is no excuse when you're making a paycheck to not come in to camp in shape. So you guys know my guy, Travis Kelce, reportedly has dropped up to 30 pounds for this season. Put his money where his mouth is. Said, I hated how we ended the season. I hated that I couldn't contribute more. I was very critical of him, saying he was not in shape. And guess what? He admitted to it. And once again, your boy was right. You cannot jet set around the world. And you notice what Kelce did this offseason? Nothing compared to what he did last offseason. You remember what we were talking about right here a year ago? Traveling to Australia, Japan, Europe, all the legs of the International Eras Tour for his boo, Taylor Swift. Fast forward a year, because I said, if you're going to all these places, you're not getting in the gym when you land in Japan 13 hours ahead or whatever it is. That was one thing The Rock always, in all of his videos when he was shooting his movies, he would move his gym around. And he would get up at 4 a.m. When he would land in a different time zone, the only way you can do it is straight to the gym, because if you go and lay down, you're all screwed up. I don't think Travis Kelce was doing that. But at least he recognized that last year I was right, he was wrong, and his boo needs to take a back seat. He can travel all over the world when he's done playing, probably at the end of this season. But there are a lot of players like Travis Kelce. His quarterback, I think, needs to get in better shape. As great as Patrick Mahomes is, they call him Mr. Dad Bod. He needs to get in better shape. The Chiefs have done a lot of things working around him, but for a team that has won multiple Super Bowls, they have been to the AFC Championship game, I believe, every single season that Mahomes has been a starter. Very quiet. That's what champions do. That's what winners do. But then you have a lot of these other teams that now we're into July. What are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to look like? I can't wait to break down the AFC North. What is the Ravens in that AFC North going to look like with Lamar Jackson and the fact that now we've gotten to a point, and I love the storylines within the storylines. And right when we get to around July 4th is when you start looking forward to the NFL. You're going to start to see players that are going to be compared to the likes of Dan Marino. Great players, never could win a Super Bowl, never could cement that legacy. And as a great player, right now, you've got to be sitting down with yourself and saying, for the next 7 months, until February 1st, this is what I am doing. I am committed. I'm obsessed. I'm doing everything in my power to make my team a Super Bowl contender. The Ravens, top 3 when it comes to betting. The Bills with Josh Allen, who just got married, by the way, number 2, or in the top 3, depending on what book you're looking at. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, neither one has been able to win a Super Bowl. You can only win one a year. What is that going to look like? Think about all the storylines. I call it our bread and butter season. So when we get to August right here on the podcast, on the morning show, we're going to start breaking down divisions, winners, Super Bowl winners, players, player props. We're going to do it all. Because I think this is going to be one of the most fascinating NFL seasons that we've ever seen. I really, really believe that. Now, quickly, speaking of things that scratch your head, how has the Red Panda, shout out, prayers out, Pat McAfee updating us, she had a severe broken wrist so badly that she had already had surgery. She's going to have to go to a different surgeon. And if you're not familiar with Red Panda, she's the number 1 halftime act in the world where she rides a unicycle and then flips things up on her head like cups and bowls. And I've always wondered, how has she never gotten hurt before? Well, apparently she's broken this wrist before. And I don't know how long she's going to be out, probably for a significant period of time. She's also getting up there in age just a little bit. So I don't know if she's been forced into retirement, but she's had probably the best halftime show career you could ever have. So shout out to her. But the WNBA during the summer, this is probably the most attention the WNBA has ever had. Period. And you could argue what you want. I know players. If I was playing in a league, like I just joined the Busted Open family at SiriusXM, they already have their people. So I'm walking in to a different group. I know all of them, but I'm walking into a different group. So I can understand if for some reason that group was a little bit hesitant about bringing me, not Sam, Peter Rosenberg, all into the fold. It could be the same in the WNBA, but they are becoming petty with a capital P. The All-Star voting, fans, they know who the cash cow is. They know who they want to see shoot from 40 feet, and that's Caitlin Clark, the most votes ever for a player. Players voted her 9th in the All-Star game voting. That's petty. That's just petty. The All-Star game is full-out entertainment. It's not really about who's earned it. It's supposed to be, but let's be honest, this is your showcase. You're a league that has not made money other than 2 seasons. Any other business would have been gone by now. So if you're the player, how petty do you have to be and short-sighted not to see every time we have an opportunity to put our league on Front Street? We need to be doing that. And that starts with Caitlin Clark. Got to be doing that. But instead, they go the other direction. And now Caitlin Clark is also battling an injury. So all those tickets that's been sold to the away game for the Indiana Fever, well, the fans cannot complain because they know there's a little thing at the bottom of the ticket that says, no players are guaranteed or whatever it is at each venue. But you got to believe they're going to be pissed because unlike the NBA, which has 82 games and they become known for players sitting out, the WNBA cannot afford that. Their best players have to play every single game unless they are injured. This is crazy pants to me. The fact that, and maybe they're scared of it getting out, but the fact that the WNBA and its commissioner has not set all teams down and said, listen, you don't have to beloved or prop up Caitlin Clark. But what you can't do is knock her down, literally on the court. These players need to understand if they want to make more than $75,000 a year, which is essentially a max salary, they need Caitlin Clark to carry the torch. No matter how jealous you get, they need Caitlin Clark to carry the torch. And then you've got your villain in Angel Reese, who buys into it sometimes she doesn't. So it boggles my mind that the WNBA, which has had 2 profitable seasons, and that is depending on how you look at it, they are talking about expansion to 5 more cities. This doesn't even make any sense to me. Next year, Toronto and Portland, and all 5 of these cities are already NBA cities. So they're basically forcing the NBA owners to take on a WNBA franchise. Essentially is what they're doing. Because in almost every other city, the NBA owner owns the WNBA franchise and basically takes it as a loss every year because they're making billions on the NBA side. So they don't really care about it. It's a write-off. But if you're talking about fan engagement, if you're talking about popularity, you're going to go to Toronto and Portland next year and then scheduled Cleveland in 2028, who's already had a WNBA team, Detroit in 2029, who's already had a WNBA team, and then Philadelphia in 2030. Sophie Cunningham of the Indiana Fever, she had a great idea. How about we go to warm places? We're playing in the summer anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Miami, I think players would love to go to Miami. Now, would fans come out during the summertime? They don't come out to the Marlins games. Something to think about. How about Nashville, Tennessee? I was just there, a month ago? Places hopping. Cities hopping. It'd be great. Any sport, any franchise, if you want to go to Nashville, you should go to Nashville. That town is jumping. What a great kept secret. Every night of the week, it's busy. Every single night of the week, it's busy. Or Sophie Cunningham, who played at Missouri, says, how about Kansas City? Again, I think that would be a great choice. Kansas City does not have an NBA team, however. So it'd have to be an individual owner or another owner of an NBA team who would want to have a team in a city where they can't monitor it. No offices. But when you only have the Royals and the Kansas Jayhawks and the Chiefs, but no basketball professionally, they'd be a great spot for a WNBA franchise. Certainly better than Cleveland and Detroit. I've never even heard of teams and cities having teams and then losing teams and then regaining teams. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. All right, there will be no show tomorrow as far as the podcast is concerned. However, we will have a morning show on YouTube and on social media. We are preempted on the Stadium Network, so come and find us and subscribe to our Coaching Company YouTube page while you are there. If you are traveling this weekend, please be safe. Horrible story out there about Liverpool, one of their top players dying in a Diego Jota. I mean, this guy, what an incredible player. Him and his brother tragically died in a one-car crash in Spain yesterday. And I saw video of the car. It's completely burned to nothing. Understand, we only go around and do this once. Be careful. Love one another. Be positive with each other. Lift each other up and understand if you want to do something you love, do it. We love doing this. But But these stories right here, these are why I am so obsessed with this. I love it so much. I love all of you for hanging out with us. Time is something we cannot get back. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the travel, enjoy the fishing, enjoy the beaches, enjoy everything that the July 4th holiday is truly about, and the hot dog eating contest. Until then, for producer man behind the scenes, I am the coach. We will see you on Monday for the next Coach and Company, the podcast. Take care.